Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 9 of the Chase is On. A couple different visual looks today. So if you're on YouTube, sorry, I keep messing with this mic, it didn't go in its usual place. If you're on YouTube, you're seeing me mess with the mic, but you also saw the new intro transition. You see this new logo up in the corner. You see my new hat. So trying out some new recording software. We're seeing how it works. Hopefully, if you're listening on a podcast platform, whether it's iTunes or Spotify or Anchor or Overcast, whatever it may be, hopefully my audio is solid. I've got an actual mixer here, so I've been tinkering with it. If you are hearing this, then it turns out it was okay. So here we go, episode 9. Let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about, we're going to cover two topics. We're going to cover training while wearing a mask, and we're going to cover things I think you should look at investing in if you want to train at home. So let's start with the mask. Okay, this is the hot topic right now. This is something that a lot of people are having to deal with. As of right now, we are still in the middle of a pandemic. A lot of mask mandates have been put in place, whether they're in states or counties. But it is affecting a lot of people. In some places, such as where I am in South Florida, those mask mandates include gyms. So if you train in my gym, the gym I work at, I don't own it. If you train at the gym I work at, you must be wearing a mask. The only exception is if you are training outside, you do not have to wear a mask, but you still have to maintain your 6 feet of distance. So those are the rules as of right now for where I am. And that's caused a lot of backlash from some members. It caused a lot of very strong opinions, some strong thoughts from some people. And I've kind of been on the front lines of it. I've seen it. I'm there at the gym, basically every day. Enforcing these rules, right? I didn't come up with them. The gym didn't come up with them. They're required by us of our county. And I like the gym being open. I like having a job. So I make sure, these rules are enforced. Mask covering nose, mask covering mouth, even while you're training may be inconvenient. But right now, that's what we have to do. So this topic has been on my mind for a while. It's something I've wanted to record. It's something I wanted to put my thoughts down. But I wanted to make sure I did it in a way that didn't just come off as me, kind of ranting and getting a bunch of the frustrations of having to, kind of be the bad guy a lot of times, forcing people to, forcing air quotes, to wear masks. I didn't want to just like vent. I wanted to put some actual thoughts down. I wanted to provide some actual resources. So I waited a little bit. This is a little bit later in my podcast cycle, my general podcast cycle for recording. So I could, kind of make sure I come at it, with a very, clear view, with some resources and facts to back things up. All right, so let's start. Training with a mask. What should I? What can I? What do I need to do? It is of my thought, and I believe the thought of a lot of people, that you can continue training basically the way you were before having to wear a mask. Your body has adapted to your training style. I've spoken about the SEDS principle, the specific adaptation to impose demands, in an earlier episode. So we, as humans, have adapted to whatever our training style is. For me, it's lifting weights, and doing a little small bit of cardio, so I can eat ice cream and pizza a day, a week or so. But I am used to lifting heavy-ish weights for lower amounts of reps, for a handful of sets, and then doing higher rep accessory work. So that's something I'm used to doing. So when I wear a mask, when I do that, I'm not noticing a big drop off in my ability to perform, what I've already been doing. It's largely the same. Maybe towards the end of my main work, I have to increase my rest intervals a little bit, but for the most part, as long as I control my breathing, I focus on breathing nasally, focus on full inhales and exhales. For the most part, I'm okay. And I think a lot of people will find that they have, similar experiences. Whether you're used to being a CrossFit athlete, whether you're used to being a strongman athlete, whether you're used to being a distance athlete, your training is not going to necessarily be largely inhibiting. There are times, especially I'm thinking distance athletes specifically, it's going to be a little bit inconvenient, you know. Um, but I think a lot of that inconvenience may come from potentially the type of mask you wear. You know, every time you inhale and exhale, you're producing water droplets. That's why the masks are required right now, because every time you exhale, you're producing water droplets. And if you're working out in the same mask for a long period of time, your mask is going to accumulate these water droplets, so it's going to get wet. Arguably, maybe it makes the mask less effective because now every exhale, some of the water droplets transfer from the mask into the air. I don't know. But so you've got to be a little more precise in like the mask that you pick. Make sure it's a moisture wicking type thing. Maybe gives you a little bit of space. Kind of juts out a little bit. But that's really the big inconvenience there, especially for a distance runner. Usually their breathing is on point anyway, so that's not going to be, I don't think, too much of an issue. If you followed me on Instagram, I did run 5 miles wearing 2 masks. I am not a runner. One of those was an N95. One of those was a double layer cloth mask. I'm not going to say I ran it fast, but I ran it faster than I thought I would. I didn't really have too much of an issue, other than being parched. I didn't drink any water. It was hot. That was probably a mistake, but for the most part, I did fine. I was sore the next day, but that was because I ran 5 miles. It wasn't because I wore a mask. So again, kind of to restate, you can train as you do normally. You're just going to have to make small, minor adaptations. Like I said, increased rest intervals. Maybe if you're typically like a 10 to 15 rep guy, maybe now you're an 8 to 12 rep guy. Maybe if you're a 6 set girl, maybe now you're a 4 set girl. Whatever it may be, you're going to make these small adaptations, and your body is going, small adjustments, and your body will, again, like it adapted to your training, it will adapt to this new imposed demand on it with the mask. So a lot of, the main complaint that I hear is, I can't get enough oxygen in. And that's, largely just not the case. And that's kind of been showed a lot of times. So no matter what, where you are, your atmospheric oxygen percentage does not change once you put on a mask. So if you're at sea level, you've got about 20% oxygen in every breath you take. When you put on a mask, you've got about 20% oxygen with every breath you take. It doesn't change. The only thing that may change is your volume. If you are taking shorter, less deep breaths, you're going to consume, less air with every breath. All that's going to do, you're still going to most likely get close to, if not the exact same amount of oxygen. Your just respiration rate is going to increase to make up the difference. That's what happens. Your body's pretty smart. It's going to make these changes to make sure it has, the proper amount of, oxygen and CO2 and all these other, gases in the system to make sure your body, your blood acidity level is correct. Make sure your cells are able to, produce and reproduce and heal themselves, and all these, make sure your brain is able to function. Your body knows how to do all that. It's going to do whatever is required of it to make sure it works. So if your volume that you're inhaling is a little bit lower than it normally is used to, you're just going to inhale, more frequently. And that generally happens when you work out anyway. That's why everyone huff and puffs after, they do 20 squats. You're breathing hard no matter what, whether you're wearing a mask or not. It's just going to be a little bit more increased when wearing a mask. And I think a lot of that, so I'm tangent, I'm kind of going off of that. We're on a little bit of a ride right now. I think a lot of the increase in respiration rate comes from a thought or a feeling of claustrophobia. So if you are really aware of your environment, you can adapt your breathing. This is something I've really focused on. I've followed the work of Brian McKenzie. He's my personal kind of favorite breath coach to follow since quarantine started, because I felt like because masks were required, so I wanted to be good at it. A lot of people know of Wim Hof and his breathing method. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of great work on breathing, but if you are able to control your breath rate, you're able to control your anxiety level. That may come from wearing a mask with the thought or feeling of a little bit of claustrophobia. This is the first time any of us, or most of us, have had to wear a mask for an extended period of time. So it's the first time something has been on our face, literally touching our face for multiple hours at a time. And the feeling of claustrophobia, maybe even a lack of personal space, is natural. It's very common. People don't. I don't like when people touch my face. I'm not sure I like when a mask touches my face for 9 straight hours, but it's what we have to do right now. So, finding these, breathing exercises, just like we do arm exercises or leg exercises, to help allow us to adapt to the situation at hand, is going to pay big dividends, not only while we're wearing a mask, but in the long run. After the mask is no longer required, breathing's the basis of everything. If you're a more efficient breather, you're going to be a more efficient, worker outer. If you're a more efficient breather, you're going to be a more efficient worker. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have more, less downtime, less fatigue, less, kind of brain farts that I keep having, in the last 5 minutes. So, working on, training our breath to handle these anxiety type situations is important. Because there are a lot of professions that have to wear a mask all the time, right? Think surgeons, think doctors, nurses, paramedics. Obviously, a lot of people in the medical field. Military personnel, firefighters, those are high stress, high leverage situations that are wearing a mask all the time. And you don't hear the same types of complaints from them, that this mask is really inhibiting my ability to perform this surgery effectively. I'm just going to, bring it down. They've adapted to their training. They've adapted to their, skills while wearing a mask, so they're able to perform while wearing a mask. They've also probably, I don't know this, but I would assume they have adapted their breathing training to be able to more, to better utilize, their breath work, their inhales, their exhales, to allow them to get, what they feel they need in each breath while they're performing at these high leverage situations, whether it's a surgery or running into a burning building or responding to a car crash or a code, whatever it may be. Masks are on, but they're controlling their their breathing, they're controlling their anxiety, they're controlling their stress level. So that is something we can all work on, at this time. We don't have to look at it like, the government's forcing me to wear a mask, down with the man. We don't have to think like that. We can think, we can take this opportunity to focus on some things that maybe we've neglected, like proper breathing, like proper hydration, stuff like that, that's going to give us bigger benefits, not only now, but in the long run. All right, so kind of shifting now. That was a little bit long, but hopefully you got a little bit of information out of that. At the end of the day, though, it's really up to you. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to go, to your box. You don't have to go to wherever you work out and wear a mask. That's your choice. You can choose to not do that and work out at home. Okay. Now, when quarantine first started, when the lockdown started to kind of come into place, home gym equipment went fast. All these retailers, the Rogues, the Elite FTS, Sorinex, American Barbell, Rep Fitness, all these places, sold out of stock immediately, and they couldn't keep anything in stock. As soon as a 50-pound kettlebell came into stock, if you didn't get it in the first minute, it was gone. But now we're coming to, places are starting to open up. Gyms are starting to open. People are starting to go back to those environments. So we're seeing an increase in availability of gym equipment again. So now, we have that more of an opportunity to buy that type of gym equipment where we can manage at home. If we're not ready to go back to the gym, we can manage at home. I'm not going to talk about building like a dream home gym, but just enough stuff to maintain our strength level, maybe build a little strength for when we are ready to go back to, our gym, our box, our workout environment, whatever it may be. And this is generally pretty inexpensive, doesn't take up a ton of space type stuff. So, and I've had a lot of friends ask me, what would you buy? I want to be able to do this. So this is kind of going off of the answers I give them. So the first thing I would buy are sets of bands. So I have Elite FTS bands. I love them. I've had them for somewhere like five years, give or take. They are awesome. No wear from use. I have nicked one or two of them from trying to put them in a carabiner and not getting it all the way through, but those bands are still totally functional. I think bands are awesome. You can do anything and everything with bands. You can use them to overload movements like push-ups, squats, side step walks, stuff like that. You can use them to underload movements like assisted chin-ups, assisted push-ups, stuff like that. They are really, anything you could think of you want to do fitness-wise, you can do them with a band. Okay. I like to buy them in pairs, so I have more anchor options, so I have more, resistance options, whatever it may be. I also have a PVC pipe that I use as a handle. So it was like $5 at Lowe's or Home Depot. I think it was Lowe's. $5. It's a 2-inch thick PVC pipe. So I would recommend one of those as well. I use that for essentially a barbell. I use it for Zercher squats, for rows, for RDLs, for sumo deadlift, variation type things. It just adds a lot of more options you can do with the bands, which already have a ton of options to them. Okay. After the bands, I would buy a medicine ball. I have a preference towards those big, soft wall balls, because you can do a lot of things with those, and the risk of using them is pretty low. Okay, so you can do slams, you can throw them against the wall, you can throw them up high, you can do core work with them. You can do fake throws, where you act like you're going to throw it sideways, but you hold on to it so you get the deceleration component. I really enjoy those. They can be a little expensive for what they are. I have a 10-pound Ethos ball from Dick's Sporting Goods. It cost me something like $79, $80. So they are a little bit heftier of an investment, but again, they can do kind of anything and everything you need them to. I like those over, say, the bouncy ones because there's less risk of it, hitting a rock and bouncing into your knee, or you slamming it and coming up and hitting your nose, breaking a tooth. There's just less risk involved with that. So I prefer the wall ball ones. They also make a really cool sound. when you slam them really hard. And it's just very satisfying, if you're really stressed, to slam the ball 10 times and, to release that anger. So medicine ball would be my number 2. Number 3 would be either a couple kettlebells or some dumbbells. Now, this is going to be the biggest investment. It's not necessary, but if you want to add a little bit more, this is where the kettlebells or dumbbells come in. So if you're going to do kettlebells are a little more expensive, but they have a little, you can do a few more things with them, like kettlebell swings. Like if you can only buy one kettlebell, try and get like a 40 to 60 pound kettlebell. Kettlebell swings are going to give you, kind of every training effect you need. But, if you've got the money, you want to buy 2 of them, you want one heavy, one light. One for like squats and swings and carries, and then one for like rows and presses and, maybe lunges and stuff like that, core work. So, one heavier, one light. If you're going to buy dumbbells, I highly recommend adjustable dumbbells, especially for a home, like makeshift, get me over gym. I like the Power Block dumbbells. If I had to buy some, I don't have any. I want to buy the Power Block Elites 5 to 50 expandable. Okay, so what does that mean? Power blocks are an adjustable dumbbell. 5 to 50 means they can either weigh 5 pounds or in 5-pound increments up to 50 pounds. So 5, 10, 15, all the way up to 45 and 50. And the expandable means they have extensions packed you can buy later on. If you find you really enjoy doing, your training at your house, you can buy the expandable set. You get too strong for the 50s, you can buy the 70 to 90, expandable set. Stuff like that. 50 to 70 and 70 to 90. So they give you a lot of options. They don't take up a ton of space. They're, I don't know, the size of a 2 Xboxes stacked on top of each other, give or take, maybe 3. It doesn't take up a ton of space. You can just set them in the corner. You don't need a stand for them. Those dumbbells, now I'm going to tell you, they run from their website. This is where you want to get them, because on Amazon, those are going for like, I think I saw them for over $1,000. Do not do that. On Power Block website, when they have them in stock, they go for $299. Still pricey, but a 5 to 50 pound set of regular dumbbells is going to cost you, over $1,000 easy. Plus you take up a lot of space. Plus you need the storage stand for them. So I think those are a really good deal. Great for home gyms. That's what I would personally go with. Now, after that, it's really miscellaneous stuff. Whatever you feel like you like to do, what you want to include in your training. So some of the miscellaneous stuff I have a pair of fat grips, so I can attach those to the bands. They're a little bit thicker. I have a Amazon Basics speed rope to switch up my cardio. I think it cost me like $8. It's good. It's a great jump rope, actually, for $8. If you're any taller than 6'3", though, it's probably going to be a little bit short. It's right at the edge for me. I was gifted a Surge Storm, which is a water log. Now I'll link to Instagram post of me using it, and also to websites, obviously. But it's just nice to switch up my training. It's I only have it weighing 30 pounds, but it's more than enough. I also use my rock cuff blood flow restriction cuffs. Blood flow restriction training can be beneficial when you don't have a ton of weight available to you. Again, those can cuffs can run a pretty penny, so those aren't required. Those aren't necessary. Really none of this stuff is necessary, but some of it's nice to have. And then if you want to buy, it's really, like I said, whatever you want to buy. If you want battle ropes, by all means grab some battle ropes, or anything like that. Whatever gets you excited to train and will keep you training at home, that's what's important. All right, I think I'm going to end that there. That's a pretty good end point. So training a mask, you should really have no issue. Your oxygen saturation level is not going to drop. Check my Instagram because I've been posting a lot about that. And I will continue to post a lot about it, just to kind of break the stigma that you're putting yourself in harm's way by training with a mask. If you're not comfortable training with a mask, plenty of options to buy some really basic, pretty cheap, not taking up a lot of space equipment, for you to get enough working at home until you're ready to go back to the gym. If you guys have any questions about breath work, I can lead you in the right direction. I'm not an expert on it by any means. Or training in a mask, what your training should look like, or what you should buy for your home gym based on what you like to do. Feel free to reach out to me. The Instagram is at chase.harris.performance. There's a link in my bio where you can email me, you can text me, you can find the podcast or an apparel shop. Just reach out, let me know. I'd be happy to help. Other than that, I think that's all I have for you guys. I will talk to you later. Peace.